and you are with me for another episode of Coffee Talk, number 523 live stream. It is 7 p.m. or thereabouts, Saturday evening, November the 15th, 2025. And we should have a pretty good list of topics this evening. Uncle Alan Sato de Frog 79 sent me a series of topics to go through, and I will be doing so. KP Heathen, how's it going? Idaho Garden Girl and Uncle Al, like Bullfrog 79. How are y'all doing? Well, it's been a long week. I did not do a live stream yesterday. I stayed. I stayed at work late, and I was working on trying to do art prep for this coming week. Monday and Tuesday, I've got 5 ARD meetings that I have to be prepped up for, and that is really that takes me a lot of time. I get interrupted a lot because of things going on, and so I was up at school late Friday evening. It is what it is, and I have to be ready. So I got 4 of them completely prepped up. The 2 that I have on Monday are prepped up. The first 2 that I have on Tuesday are prepped up. The last one, I still have to write IEP objectives, but I've got my PLAF written for it. And hopefully I'll have the piece to be able to do it. If not, then I'll have to wait until the evening, and I'll wind up doing that after school Monday evening. But a lot of times I don't get to do stuff like that during the day. Just checking to see who else, if anybody else has come in. Looks like we have 3 in the house and 3 likes. Appreciate you guys. And we got some really good topics lined up. And I am drinking. That's right. Coffee. Good stuff. A medium roast with creamer. Excellent. Excellent. So, a lot of stuff going on in the news. We'll talk about. The shutdown is finally ended. Hello, Verna, Vay's Place. Thank you for coming. I appreciate the 4th like. I appreciate you being here, young lady. So I slept a lot today. It's not necessarily a good thing. I slept a lot today. I cooked. So basically, I made a pot of vegetables. I cut up, put them in a slow cooker, made a pot of vegetables, and I baked pork ribs. So I will do I've been taking images of what I did, so it'll wind up being a short that I'll put out probably this evening. When I get through with the live stream, I'll plate up the food and I'll finish my short. I've been doing little segments. I'll finish my short and I'll show it. It's going to be a wonderful meal. I'm sorry you have been sick. I have been blessed. I have not been sick this school year. Normally, I would be sick every so often. I catch a cold or whatever, but I've been lucky. I have not really been sick this school year. Had a few headaches, but haven't really been sick. And 4 in the house, and we are right at 5 minutes into the live stream. Melinda Elliott, thank you for coming in. 5 in the house and 5 likes. Appreciate you coming in. And again, I am drinking Starbucks medium roast with cream. Excellent. So I have to work all this week, and then I will be off all next week. When I come back, it'll be December, and I will work a couple of weeks in December, finish up the semester, and then I will be off for a couple of weeks and get into the new year. I am going to be looking at buying a new truck, probably over the Christmas break, before the end of the year, quite possibly. Want to get probably an Ford F-150 quad cab. That's where you got the front seat and the back seat. I need something that can pull our trailer, and hopefully I'll be able to get a decent deal on one. But that's my goal for the Christmas break. When I get off for Thanksgiving, I'm going to go in for a follow-up visit with my doctor, have some more blood work done, and see how my medication regimen is doing me. Hopefully. Hopefully it'll be better than it was when I went in the last time, which has been right at 6 months. Yeah, going on 6 months. But that's what's going on with me. Well, trucks are good. See, I have a flatbed trailer, which really haven't used recently, but it's in our backyard, which I can use to haul stuff. And then we have our camper, which I keep promising to do videos on, and I have not. I apologize for that. But just checking to see if anybody came in that I missed. Know what gets my dander when doctors yell at you because you are severely allergic to their favorite remedies? Well, doctors are human, and they're not perfect. But I will say this about the medical profession. It's a lot better than it used to be. It's a lot better than it used to be. 6 watching and 7 likes. That's good. Oh man. I worry about the way things are going. I'll give you an example. You work and you get paid, you go cash your check. 5 or 6 thugs come up to you and say, "We want your money." SD Mountain Man, thank you for coming, Scott. And these thugs come up to you and they basically take your money from you. So your response is to, well, if you're able to, you defend yourself. If not, they take your money. Then you make a report to the police. It's not right, people taking your money. Well, here's another version. You work hard, you wind up getting married, you have 1 or 2 kids. You raise your kids, they get an education, they go off about their business, they each have a couple of kids. And then you've got people who don't pay bills and have their hands out, and they vote for the blue people. and they have 5 or 6, 7 kids, and they want everybody else to help them with their kids. And politicians want their vote, so we'll give you free stuff. And what do we do to pay for that free stuff? We tax the people who work and pay the bills, like me and other people in my, in my live stream. And they say that's good, that's legal, because there's more of them than there are of me. But I was responsible, I only had kids that I could afford, and I took care of them. Now, how's that right? But that's what happens in a lot of these big blue cities. The people who work and the people who make their living, and middle class people, they get charged with all the bills. You get these idiot politicians. Hey, you got to pay your way. They deserve it. That just burns the crap out of me. Hello, Dave. I want to rant. Trust me, Uncle Al's not the only one that can rant. Alan Sato is not the only one that can rant. Dave's having some health problems. He's trying to take care of it. He's taking it easy. I would encourage everybody to pray for him. How are you doing, little lone prepper? Thank you for coming. But that's just an example of the way things are. Back in the days, you had as many kids as you could take care of, and you took care of your kids. Drinking medium roast with creamer. Excellent coffee. 9 in the house, 9 likes. So, we're 13 minutes into our live stream. Let's start with the topic. First topic from NBC, CNN, Fox, and CBS. In the Trump administration. From Tim Pool. Trump ends the government shutdown signing. They've reopened, or they're in the process of reopening, after Democrats caved in. Big National Socialist Party, Nazis, wiped out regular moderate Democrats. The economy in these blue states and urban areas is completely collapsing. Trump won 93% of the counties nationwide. 93% of the counties. The socialist, millions and millions of votes. They didn't get as many votes as Trump did, but they got a lot. They got fairly close. And it's these big blue cities. New York has 8.5 million people. There's over 5 million registered voters. Slevua, was the Republican, got about 7% of the vote. 7%. Cuomo and Mandani, they got 93% of the vote, and Mandani won, got just over 50% of the vote. Won the socialists or the communists, if you want to say that. He got. Yeah, I know that they're finding a lot of corruption, a lot of fraud. They're in the process of trying to deal with that. They're still dealing with that. In some places, they've dealt with a lot of it. They're still finding it. There's just so much of it to deal with. Dead people voting. uh, dead people and people 200 years old getting benefits, getting multiple benefits from multiple programs. You know, they're trying to deal with that. And, and the Democrats are losing their minds. They're losing their minds over the fraud being revealed and trying to deal with it. It's just absolutely disgusting. Take care, Verna. Appreciate you coming in. I have the feeling sometimes that not everyone watching my videos or my live streams shares my beliefs. And that's just fine. You have the right to believe what you want to believe. And, it is what it is. But, I'll give you an example on that. So I have a cousin. She actually helped raise me. She babysitted me when I was a baby. She was in college. She's about 20 years older than I am. And she would help my mother, and she'd give her money and everything to, take care of me, change my diapers and all that sort of stuff when I was a baby. So I'm 63 years old, and she turns 83 this next week. I was trying to look her up because I haven't heard from her recently. She doesn't answer her phone. She uses a track phone. I leave messages for her periodically. She never responds. She used to, but she stopped doing it. And I wanted to make sure she's still, that I hadn't not been notified something might have happened to her. So I was looking her up, and she's still around. But I did a profile on her, and it described her as political affiliation Democrat. And I thought, oh crap. We never really talked politics, but she's got 2 graduate degrees the same as I do. She's got a degree in library science, and she's got a degree in theology, or Baylor, Baptist. And it just sort of shocked me. But it's one of those things like, well, both of her parents were Democrats. They're gone, and they've been gone a while. And her father's been gone longer. But things started changing. The party started changing, and you had a flip. A lot of the places that were traditionally Democrat now were Republican. Places that were traditionally Republican became Democrat, and you had a big flip in the way things were and the alignments and everything. And there were a lot of older folks that had been affiliated with the Democratic Party. Their parents, their grandparents, their great-grandparents, way back all through, had been affiliated Democrats. And then the party started really changing in the 60s. Really started changing. And, and then in the 70s. And then, you got Carter. So you had a lot of people changing parties, leaving the Democratic Party. But then there were other ones that were just hardcore Democrats that, like, no matter what, if the Antichrist ran as a Democrat against Jesus, who was a Republican, and I'm not saying Jesus is anything as far as political affiliation, but I'm just giving you as an example, they'd still vote for the damn Democrat. That's how hardcore affiliated they were. And I believe my cousin is like that. And the way we got rid of those folks was they died. They never changed their minds. A lot of them, they were just set in their ways. And the way you got rid of them was they passed on. May they all rest in peace. No, it's not a requirement to be a Republican to listen to my lives. I just noticed that as I started talking about my first topic, somebody had to leave. And that's what brought that comment on. Melinda, you don't have to be anything to listen to me. You can be whatever you want. And what I'm saying is, and this is my thing, my income and my taxes and everything I have very little control over, how they spend my taxes. So, you know, as Elon Musk, and I admire Elon Musk in a lot of ways. I mean, he's got autism, so if he went to school today, he would be classified as a special education student. He's a genius, but he's autistic, and a lot of the geniuses and near geniuses are autistic. They've got autistic tendencies and such. But I remember he basically switched over from the middle left to the right, middle right, and he used to say, my wallet's Republican. And that's, that's one of my things, is my wallet, is my wallet is Republican. You can pretty much do what you want to do, believe what you want to do. If it doesn't affect me, God bless you. But when it comes to my money, I draw the line there. When it comes to, you want me to pay for things that I don't want to pay for, that's the line for me. But if you really take a deep dive into Musk, if you take a deep dive into him, and he's in his 50s now. So when he would have been young, autism was not a thing. That wasn't a thing. They had emotional disturbance. They didn't have autism. When I was a special education director 20 some odd years ago, we had, and I was in the Coastal Bend, down in Corpus Christi in the Coastal Bend area, and there's probably 500,000 people down there at that time in the Coastal Bend area, and the districts in that area, about 500,000 people. We had a handful of students that were identified as autistic within the Coastal Bend. Today, at my campus, we have a handful of students identified in my small where I work at. So trust me, I know autism when I see it. Do you find that acceptable, Melinda? That's how and I'm not saying anything against him, and I support a lot of what he does, and I'm very happy, and he's doing all sorts of wonderful things. But I mean, I see him as having autistic characteristics. I think what basically brought about his conversion to being a conservative, or more conservative, and aligning with the populace and aligning with Trump, is what they did in California with his, he got divorced, and he had like 5 children with his first wife, and one of them decided to transition, and they didn't notify him. He didn't have anything to say about it. He didn't have any rights, and he basically lost his first child. His eldest first child, he lost his first child, and that really pissed him off. That really got him. And I think, excellent coffee, and I think that's really what flipped the switch on him, and where he became red pilled. That really hurt him. Mr. Whistle, how are you doing, Mr. Whistle? Appreciate you coming in. I hope you're doing wonderfully. So, and there are a lot of families that have divisions, Um, you don't get along with your kids. You have different philosophies in your kids. Your kids have issues with you, or issues with your beliefs. You have issues with their beliefs. Um, I joke about it. My wife says my daughter's just like me. And my response, which pisses her off, is I raised her to be me. I didn't raise her to be you. You know. And she's got a graduate degree. She's a licensed professional counselor. She does she does online counseling where she basically does Zoom or whatever you call it, and she counsels and she bills and she gets paid. She works with the service, and she has clients, and and she makes money doing that. And I raised her, and I helped her navigate her education to do what she's doing today. You know, and I tell people she's the love of my life. I'm married to my wife forever. I'll always be married to my wife. I love my wife. But I mean, I really have an affiliation, with my kid. Now I have a second child, and I have a child with my first wife, and we're not close the way I am because I did not raise her. I had visitation with her, and you know, but she's educated. She has a college education, and she's in education as a teacher. Lives in the valley, you know, and she's gonna be giving me my first grandchild in December. Uncle Al, God bless you for your ministry, what you do with your food boxes and with your church, and he's on his church board. I used to be on my church board. I used to be involved with what's called Angel Food Ministry. I was in Gideon's International. I was on the state cabinet with Gideon's International. I'd have to go all over the place representing the Gideons. Would place Bibles in hotels, motels, hospitals, medical facilities. We'd give them out. It's a lay ministry, and I sort of got burned out on that. Mom of four boys. Hello, Rachel. Thank you for coming in. So, Verna, who left the stream, and I'm sure she is busy doing stuff, she'll be the next person to get a box from me. Uh, I will be prepping up, and I'll do a video of it. She'll be the next person that gets a goodie box from me. And then there will be a couple of people who will be getting follow-up boxes. And I mean, I probably sent them multiple times, but Little Lone Prepper and Holly Ivins, and probably Holly first and then Little Lone Prepper, will be getting boxes from me, follow-up boxes of stuff. Um, I give back, and that's one way I give back. I give to people who support me. I support and I give to people who support me. And I appreciate all of you. Yeah, I used to do Bible study. I used to teach a Bible study. I used to also be involved with youth services. I would do Vacation Bible School. I would do the Awana. I was an Awana teacher with the Awana program for the kids on Wednesday evenings. I was involved with that. I was involved with a lot of stuff. Today, I don't. Nope. I'm not involved with all that stuff today. But is what it is. Normal, you know, normal is where are you at? Who are you with? What area of society? Those people that you affiliate with, that's your normal. You know, that's your normal. I mean, I am considered a baby boomer. Sounds delicious, Uncle Al. I'm considered a baby boomer, and the baby boomers, the last of the baby boomers were 1964. I was born in 1962. I've got a cousin who was born in 1964. She's the last of the boomers. And you know, it is what it is. But we were raised by the World War II generation. We we affiliate with that group, and also we grew up before the internet. The internet can I have two bachelor's degrees and I have two master's degrees from Texas A&M in Corpus Christi, and I finished my education prior to the internet. The internet came out in 1995. I got my last degree in 1995. I also have an associate's from Del Mar College, which is a community college, so I can technically say I got 5 degrees, but I actually have 4 if you say bachelor's or graduate level. And I talk to people, and they have no concept of the way things were just 30, 40 years ago. They don't, you know. You can have somebody who's 50 years old, and they were an adult. They were 20 when the internet came out, So they probably have a better grasp of the internet than people older than that. But the internet, and then also it developed over a period of time. So it used to be, well, you had dial-up internet. You use the internet, it kicks you off if you get a phone call because you're using your phone line. And then you start looking at facilities and such. Well, they had to go and retrofit all that. They had to they used to have they would go in and they'd have to retrofit and wire everything. Everything was hardwired. They didn't have wireless. And you would have an organization called Cisco Systems. Got a lot of contracts to come in, a lot of grant money to come in and wire schools, wire libraries, wire facilities and such, big businesses and all. And that's where the internet started. It was the government, and it was the big universities, and it was the big corporations and such. That's where the internet came in and where the internet started at. Nine in the house and 12 likes. Let's see. Hey, Unkael, Enrique Trevino, thank you for coming in. Appreciate you coming in. $12 likes, 9 in the house. So let's go on to the second topic. Second topic from the New York Post, Wall Street Journal, and CNN. Escape from New York City. Bankers and investors fleeing Mandani for Texas and Florida. Governor Kathy Hochul is mad as hell. There's over 300,000 millionaires in New York City. Over 300,000. And could you imagine if you just lose a certain number of them? I mean, you've had about 500,000 people move out of New York for southern climates. What do you think it's going to do when you got a communist in New York City running things? Tell the public of New York City that Mandani has no power to keep the promises and will order the New York National Guard to maintain order. Half the moderate Democrats joined forces with the Republicans against the current National Socialist movement. See new Socialist Mayor of Seattle, Kate Wilson, defeating moderate incumbent Democrat. National Socialism is spreading like a wildfire across the U.S. See 1932. Rise of German Socialism Party, National Socialist Party. For the slow people in the live stream, this is Uncle Al's wording, from Fox News, CNN, NBC, and ABC. Food, forest, permaculture. Hello, Howie. Thank you for coming. Good to have you. I will be doing a. I'll be editing and putting out a short on today's meal. Did a pot of vegetables, cut up vegetables, and cooked them in a slow cooker, and then I did. I baked ribs, pork ribs. That'll be supper. I'll put out a short a little later on to show you what we have, or what we're going to have when I finish the live stream. Third topic. We're 36 minutes into the live stream. From the Wall Street Journal, CNN, and Fox News, Generation Z and younger Gen X apocalypse. Gen Z, and he uses the term morons, Eloys and Morlocks, about time travel, with idiot college degrees and debt that major corporations, government service, and private companies are demanding. H-1B for Indians and Chinese visas to replace shrinking job market. Gen Z National Socialists are cooked voters themselves into a mess. AI apocalypse and Greater Depression. The birth rate is way down. We had just recently 3.9 million births in the U.S. And normally, the normal rate is about 20 million a year. Birth rate's way down. Think about that. Fourth topic. From ABC, CBS News, CNN, and NBC, digital ID is here. Mark of the beast. Your digital wallet is ready to launch. Are you ready to comply? If you do shopping online in big box stores like Walmart and Costco, on bank travel. You know, everybody talks about the mark of the beast, Revelations. Topic 5. Massive solar storm nearly destroys human civilization. Saved by the moon and comet. Deflection, most of the storms. A lot of billionaires switch from crypto to gold and silver. I have never, and I've got a little money to invest. I have never bought crypto. I don't play with that stuff. That's not how I roll. At least somebody listened last week. At least somebody listened to Uncle Al. Topic 6. Pumpkin pie sounds delicious, Little Lone Prepper. Yeah, I agree with you, Melinda. I'm scared of the digital wallet stuff too. People doing hokey pokey with their own kind. Yep. Hear you. The mark of the beast will be unequivocal. It won't be a misunderstanding. People will know full well what they're doing. Yep. I hear you. Well, one thing that, we're finding is that with a lot of this crap going on, people, gun sales are really up. People are buying guns, being able to protect themselves. Topic 6, 40 minutes into the live stream. A happy food topic. So Uncle's got a food topic. Yummy Alfredo sauce. It's Eloy's Good. 1/2 cup of melted butter. 1½ cups of heavy cream. 2 teaspoons of minced garlic. 1/2 teaspoon of Italian seasoning. 1/2 teaspoon of plain salt. 1/4 teaspoon of black pepper. 2 cups of grated Parmesan cheese. Pour over noodles and be happy. Sounds delicious. Sounds very delicious. 10 in the house, 13 likes. Please leave a like to support the channel if you have not done so. It will be greatly appreciated. Topic 7. Happy Apocalypse Spam Sandwich. Nuclear grilled cheese versions. Spam. Spam and spam grilled. Spam sliced first. Grilled American cheese with tomato, lettuce, and red onions topped with grilled spam. Sounds delicious. Uncle Al is big on spam. 2, grilled American cheese with banana, peanut butter, and jelly with grilled spam. Caves are easy to dig. Yeah. Grilled white cheese with peach slices and grilled spam. Stuffed French toast grilled American cheese with grilled spam. Sprinkle with cinnamon and nutmeg with powdered sugar. Peanut butter and jelly spam. I don't know about that. Salsa and apple butter and bread and butter pickles. Love the crafting fairs. Breakfast sandwich. Grilled American cheese with hash browns and a fried egg with grilled spam. Sounds good. Followed by steaming black coffee. Yummy. Sounds absolutely wonderful. Wonderful. 43 minutes in, 10 in the house, 14 likes. Please leave a like to support the channel. It would be greatly appreciated. Well, you know, another thing, not a topic, but it costs 4 cents now to make a penny, and they're not going to be making any more pennies. 4 cents to make a penny. That's one of those things that's probably going to go by the wayside. Why are we talking food? I'm just going through topics that Uncle Al gave me. I mean, he sends me stuff and I write it down. I've thought about like mailing out periodically, mailing out notes that I have to people on various topics. Topic 8. Happy Greater Depression. Soup. How to make basic soup from your garden. 2 tablespoons of olive oil from your kitchen pantry. Homegrown onion, diced. Homegrown carrots, diced. Homegrown celery stalks, diced. cloves of garlic minced, 6 cups of homemade broth canned, salt and pepper to taste. Add 2 cups of homegrown vegetables or animal protein. Cook for 1 hour at low heat until the simmering and tender. Yeah, it is important to eat healthy. I don't. Like Donald Trump, he's 78, 79 now. I think he turned 70. He turned 79. So he's got. I'm 63. They got years on me. But one thing that I agree with him, I don't drink alcohol. I don't drink alcohol now. I don't smoke. I've never been a smoker. I don't chew tobacco. I don't. I've never vaped. They came out with vaping. I don't vape. I've never done illegal drugs. Never, marijuana or any of that crap. And I try to eat fairly healthy. Hopefully, it will give me an extra 20, 30 years to my life. So many people I know that really abuse themselves, whether I know them personally or, just people I know of in the news from music and movies and various things. They die in their 50s and their 60s, early 60s. And they might have made it in tens of millions, $100 million they're worth. Doesn't give them any extra time to their life, and they can't take it with them. Think about that. 47 minutes into the live stream. Howie knows a lot about cooking. Acorns, he's going to make flour out of acorns. You can make flour out of rice, make flour out of wheat. There's lots of stuff you make flour, you grind it up. You have for flour. You can make flour from oatmeal. Oats. You can make flour. Topic number 9. Topic number 9. Be happy, it's pirate time for Omega Man. Dress well, no matter what the occasion. Dress well, yes, dress well. Be an adult, not a 12-year-old. Behave appropriately. Have dignity. Oat milk is good. Comfort zones are for, Uncle Al did the P word. I'm not going to say that because there are ladies in the stream. In the week. CEBT. Yeah, well, I'm overweight too. I wear black. It tends to hide the little bit here, got a little bit here. I need to lose weight. Never lower your standards for anyone. Don't lower your standards. What's a chemist's favorite flower? Flower allium. Judge everyone and improve yourself. Well, technically, the scriptures say don't judge. Judge not lest you be judged. Treat people the way you want to be treated. Be strong, defend yourself. Uncle Al says, kick numb nuts if you want to earn more. Never follow, always update and keep learning. And lose weight. Lose weight. Ten in the house and 14 likes. Please leave a like to support the channel. Hello, Joseph Moore. Thank you for coming. I have a plan to start rucking, but time to myself is tough. Still down a person, probably going to lose 40-hour vacation. Oh, God bless you. God bless you. I understand. Scripture says we can judge on what God has passed a judgment already. We're called not to judge people's hearts because only He knows if they're genuine. You know, lead by example. Lead by example. And treat others as we would be treated, how you want people to treat you. There's a lot of good in this world, and there's a lot of evil in this world. You want to be on the side of good. You want to do good things. On Judgment Day, you want the ballot sheet to say, you know, you were worthy, or you're worthy. And you're worthy because of the Lord. You're not worthy because of yourself. You know, trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lead not on your own understanding. Lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, acknowledge Him, and He'll make your path straight. Which is sort of paraphrasing Scripture. But you want to... well, what he's saying, Melinda, is he wants to go out, you know, like backpacking, rucksack or whatever. Go out and enjoy himself. Yep. Well, and I will tell you this, you know, when you go out, make sure you're armed, either with a pistol or a shotgun. If you don't want people to know, I say, you know, have a nice revolver, like with a 3-inch or a 4-inch barrel. It's concealable. Have a couple of speed loaders with it. You can get a 6-shot, 7-shot, 8-shot even, get a heavy one. I would tell the wife, you know, if you can't take care of the problem with 2 or 3 shots, you're in a bad way. You're in a bad way. Is it like is it a horde descending upon you if you need a semi-automatic, you know, or a pistol, something with a high capacity? Well, you know, is it, who's coming after you? You need a Glock 19, you know, and 9mm, you know, to, my assumption is if I got 1 or 2, I got to take care of it. You know, the revolver's going to take care of them. Worst comes to worst, you got a speed loader, reload. Old school. And there are a lot of people buying revolvers. Well, by their fruit you will know them. And you're conscious. You do something bad. Do you feel bad about it? Do you feel bad about doing stuff? There are a lot of people who have taken their lives because, you know, like the PTSD from the military, They were in the service, and they went across and they were in combat, and they took some lives. They saw their friends, die, and you got a lot of people with depression. You got a lot of people committing suicide or trying to commit suicide. Same thing with you got a lot of people who got emotional issues, what we would call, the DSM-5, certain disorders, you know, and people, there's a higher um, prevalence of suicides. It is what it is. It's a sad state. It is what it is, and people don't have knowledge of the way things are, their belief system and such. They don't understand that when you die, you're dead. You're not up there floating around in a cloud. On Judgment Day, you'll go before the Lord. So when you do pass and you do die, it's like you're sleeping. You have no idea what's going on. You have no idea the passage of time. The next thing you're going to know when you wake up it's Judgment Day and you're before the Lord. The end of days and such. That's what the scriptures basically teach, and that's what the Lord taught. In the AR epistle, yep. That's something else. As I send out boxes, I've been sending out the Constitution. I've been sending out copies of the Constitution, giving the Constitution away. That's something everybody needs to have, and that's something everybody needs to read, and you should be able to know what your rights are. Meat cleaver. And a lot of people, like Uncle Al's real big on machetes. He's real big on knives and machetes and such. And I recently bought my wife a nice machete. Got a scabbard for it and everything. And I wouldn't want somebody coming after me with one of those things. And I can't defend myself the way I used to physically. I don't move near as fast as I used to. I would be a victim, when it came to something like that. Yeah, you'll see more guns. Yeah, crossbow is quiet. Gotta have some strength to cock the thing, you know. And your follow-up shots are not going to be that fast, you know. Silent killer. Yeah, I understand. I don't. I have a relatively few people personally that I associate with, that physically I can get together with. Like those of you who follow me, my channel, and that I communicate with occasionally, text message or email or whatever, or conversation occasionally on the phone. You're not near me. We're not near each other. So we don't have the physical contact. I have a few friends that I have physical contact with. We get together, we go to breakfast, we talk on the phone and such, and they're here locally with me. I have a handful of people that that, and the same thing with relatives. I don't have any relatives around me right here, in Victoria. They're all scattered out all over the bloody place, and you rarely see them. You're lurking. Well, I hope you're feeling better, Dave. I pray for you. What's your channel at now? How many subscribers? Last I heard, you were at around 34,000. Where are you at now? You up to 40? I'm sure he's coming up. Dave has been having some health issues. I'm planning on going to the doctor over Thanksgiving break. I'll be off for a week. I'm going to go have blood work done and a follow-up checkup. How is it going? It's been going on 6 months, with all this extra medication I'm taking. I want to see how things are. I still need to take my evening meds and I need to eat, but I'll be putting out a nice short. And at any rate, this has been a really, I just got thrown out of the live, LOL. Better to avoid jail, Howie. That's for sure. Yeah, we want to avoid jail. I will be back tomorrow for another live stream Sunday evening, 35,486. Well, I'm sitting at 2,051. Pick up a couple, lose a couple. Pick up a couple, lose a couple. 2,051. I will do a 2,100 subscriber giveaway when I hit 2,100. By that time, Dave will probably be at 50,000. And it is what it is. And God bless you, and I'm happy for you. But at any rate, I will be back tomorrow for another edition of Coffee Talk. I don't know, it may be an open mic, or it may be Uncle Al may send me some more information, or we may go over some of the same stuff we went over this evening. When I get up in the morning, I thank God for the day. I take my medication, I drink my coffee, I try to get right, I do what I need to do, I treat people the way I want to be treated, I try to be prepared. Lead by example, live your life, and treat people the way you want to be treated. Trust in the Lord. It's a good live stream. I really appreciate everybody who came in, and I will hopefully see some of you back, hopefully all of you, tomorrow at 7 p.m. for another edition of Coffee Talk. Thank you, and I'll be putting out a short on that plate that we're doing this evening. God bless. Bye-bye.